I would like to, before I go any further, pay my respects to the country on which I'm practicing, which is the lands of the Wurundjeri people, and the Wadawurrung people. And I would like to pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and to their ongoing connection with the land, sea, and sky. I'd also like to pay my respects to my own ancestors and to thank them and give them my gratitude for bringing me here today to practice with you. And if it is meaningful to you to do the same thing, to pay those respects, then please do that silently or out loud, because I'm not going to hear you, for yourself. So let's just bring ourselves into this space where we are. So we are connected, but we're in our own spaces here this morning. But I'm just invite you to start with, just to get yourself into a comfortable, probably a seated position. It doesn't need to look anything like what I'm doing. So you can just sit cross-legged, legs out the front. You can lie down if that's better. We'll just spend a few minutes grounding ourselves into the practice to start with. So I would think that it'll be better for you to close your eyes down, if that's okay. And just starting to pay attention to what is in the space with you. Perhaps you can notice the surface that you're on. How does that feel? What parts of your body are connecting with that surface? What are the textures of the clothing touching your skin? Is there anything that you can smell in your space? Perhaps some breakfast scents are coming to you. Do you have a taste in your mouth? Maybe like me, you've just brushed your teeth. And there's a hint of mint. And even though our eyes are closed, what can you see? Is there a colour that you can see behind your eyelids? And what can you hear right here? You may begin to notice the sound of your own breathing. There may be sounds somewhere else in your home or your space. There may be sounds outside. Just noticing what they are. Once you've sent that sense of hearing out of the space, then I'd invite you to bring it back to your breath. And starting to consciously slow the breath down a bit, breathing all the way into the bottom of your belly. And as you release the exhalation, being careful to exhale and let go of every last little sip of air. So you're fully releasing, noticing the rise and fall of your chest and belly. Noticing your heartbeat. We're going to bring ourselves into that space of the heart, the energetic space of the heart, as well as the physical. So firstly, noticing physical heartbeat. And perhaps becoming aware that the heart is one of the big energetic spaces in the body, and in fact sends that energy out. It's got the strongest magnetic field of anything in our bodies. So opening ourselves up to the practice by using gratitude. So I'd invite you to bring something to mind that you're grateful for. Something perhaps that's happened in the last 24 hours. Accessing that thought in the mind and sending it down to your heart. Gratitude is so nourishing for our heart energy. You may be able to feel the heart open, feels lighter. You might have a little bubbly sensation. Feeling grateful as well to yourself that you're here now, and grateful to this practice and the benefits it's going to bring to you. So just gently opening the eyes up now so you can see what our first shape is going to be for today. So we're going to do what is called a reclined butterfly. So I'd recommend you have some supports behind you. So a big cushion, whatever you have to hand. So I've got my yoga bolster. And with this shape, the butterfly is the shape of our legs. So we're bringing the feet together and the knees apart. Now that can be as loose or as tight as you want. When we are doing our yin shapes, we're aiming to feel a stretch. Now, in this shape, we are then going to lower ourselves down. Now, some people can do this directly onto the ground and be completely comfortable. We're aiming to feel the stretch here in our inner thighs and into the groin. You may feel it other places as well, in the backs of the legs, the hips. You'll also feel a stretch across the front of the body. So however high you need to be is absolutely fine. You may even just want to sit up and have the legs apart, depending on where you're feeling the stretch. So trying to get yourself into a space where you're feeling the stretch, but you're not feeling really uncomfortable. And if you have any problems with feeling a stretch in the insides of the legs, then please just let me know. You can turn your camera on or drop something in the chat. And once you are into a space where you're feeling the stretch, it can be helpful to then send the breath to that area where you're noticing the sensation. So when we hold the stretch, we're stressing our fascia, the connective tissue that surrounds, separates, encloses all of our muscles, all of our organs. And holding the stretch is the only way to activate that fascia. There is a lot of silence in this practice, which is why it is nice to have some music playing for yourself. while you're in silence, you can try to focus on the sensations that you're feeling. Your mind will wander. That is what our minds do. But taking the opportunity to use this practice as a bit of a meditation, and all that involves is simply refocusing on the sensation when you notice your thoughts have wandered. At any time while we're holding the shape, you can adjust your shape. So you may find that the sensation's becoming too intense and you want to move your feet further away from your body. You may find your back becomes uncomfortable. You need to adjust the height behind you. You may find that you can really feel the loosening of the fibre and the tissues of the fascia, and therefore impose more stress on it by perhaps bringing your feet closer in whilst you're holding the shape. Taking your last few breaths in your reclined butterfly. And then we're going to come straight into our next shape because it is a counter pose to what we were just in. We're going to do what is called a caterpillar. And with this, all we're doing is having our legs out in front of us and leaning over them. Now, again, there's lots of options. You can have your legs as close together or as far apart as you like. We're aiming here to feel a stretch all along the backs of the legs, so into your hamstrings. You will also quite possibly feel a stretch, especially in the lower back or anywhere in your back. Now, again, you may want to have some support in front of you to lean over. And for some people, you're going to feel a stretch simply sitting up. You're going to feel that stretch along the back of the legs. So you may find that you can gradually lean over more as the fibres release. Just once again, finding a place where you can start this stretch. Sending the breath into the backs of the legs. We want to feel the stretch, but we don't want to force the stretch. Remembering that you can adjust your shape at any point through the hold, changing the position of your legs, the support that you're feeling, the angle of your bend over. Just taking your last few breaths in this shape. Then gradually bringing yourself back up into a seat. We're going to do a shape now called mermaid. So with this, just coming to seat on one side, on one hip, so on your right hip, and then you're going to place again a support under your side. So the idea is the support is under your ribs. Then you may also want another support under your head, because we're going to come down to lying on our side. Your legs can be stretched out. I find it much more comfortable to leave my bottom leg bent. And then your top arm can come over, my bookshelf's in the way, but can come over your head, or you can simply leave it at your side. So with this shape, we're aiming to feel a stretch all along the left side of the body. You may want to change the angle of your head support to give yourself more of a stretch down the side of the neck. So the neck is an area that I was requested to focus on today. And I do find, actually, if I'm wanting to stretch the neck, if I leave my arm at my side rather than over my head, I get more of a stretch into the side of the neck. Once again, just please let me know if you are having any problems feeling a stretch anywhere along the left side of your body. And just sending the breath, breathing into where it is in the body that you can feel the sensation of stretch. You may feel like you want to adjust yourself at some point during the hold, and just remembering, as always, this is totally fine. When we have a sensation of pain or stiffness in the neck, we want to think about the metaphysical, the emotional reasons for that. I love to refer to a book called The Secret Language of Your Body by Inna Segal. And in regards to the neck, she says, we may be feeling stuck, inflexible, pressured. You may be avoiding issues or holding on to unresolved issues. Spending too much time thinking and trying to work things out. The neck is our throat chakra energy. So it's all about truth. Expressing our truth. Feeling like we have a choice. And clarity in those choices. Taking your last few breaths on that side. And then very slowly and mindfully moving to the other side. So you can simply roll over. I've moved my props to the other end just so I'm not turning my back to you. So this time we're having some support under our left ribs and head, most likely. And positioning your legs however you like to, stretched or bent, and your top arm, again, however you like to, stretched over your head or down by your side, depending on where you know you want to feel this stretch more. On this side, for me, I actually prefer to have both my legs stretched out, then I can feel more of the stretch down the side of my torso. Charlie the cat come to say hello to us. So as I said, this shape is called mermaid. You might like to picture yourself as a mermaid on a rock or a merman. On a rock in the sea. Sea, water representing our emotions, our emotional selves. Do you need to dive back in there? Or have you spent too much time there? And now what you actually need is to stay on the rock in the sun. Remembering that you can adjust your shape in any way at any time. And taking your last few breaths on this side. And then we're going to just come into a rest. So I'd recommend just perhaps propping yourself up, removing your supports, just coming into a resting shape on your back, on the floor. When we come into a rest after a nice long stretch, sometimes at this point we can feel the energy rushing into the area that we've just stretched. Your fascia conducts the energy throughout your body. The electricity travels along these channels of fascia everywhere in the body. And when we come out of a stretch, you often actually feel that, and feel the blood, all the fluids moving through your body, perhaps with more ease. Then to prepare to come into our next shape, just bring your feet onto the floor so your knees are bended, your feet are on the floor. And we're going to go into twisted roots. So taking your left leg over your right leg, so there, it's like you've crossed your legs. And then dropping the knees over to the right side of the body. Now, you may definitely need some support under the knees. So you can place that support on the right side of the body so your knees are falling onto the support. With a twist, we're aiming for our torso to be facing in one direction and our pelvis to be facing in another direction. So in this case, we've got our torso facing the roof and our pelvis facing to the right side. And you're aiming to feel a stretch anywhere in the body. I chose to do this one today because I was asked to focus on the lower back. And with your head, you can position that wherever you like. You can leave it lying facing the ceiling, or you may turn it to the left side to feel more of a stretch down the side of the neck. Just seeing if you can pay attention to where exactly you do feel the stretch in this twist. So it's likely to be different for everyone. And remembering to adjust your shape in any way throughout the hold. Taking your last few breaths in this shape. And then we're going to come very slowly and gradually straight into doing the same shape on the other side. So you're going to cross your right leg over your left leg and drop your knees down to the left side. Once again, if you need support under the knees, then please do that. I should have said too, if it is too much for you to have the legs crossed, you can even just have them stacked one on top of the other. And remembering to position your head wherever you get the best stretch sensation for you. Once again, on this side, noticing where it is you feel the stretch. With my arms apart in this shape, I really get a really good stretch along my upper torso, the right side of my ribs, into my armpit. As well as the lower back. Taking your last couple of breaths in this shape. And then moving very slowly again to bring yourself into a place where you can simply rest. Lying on your back, you might just want to lie on your side. And once again, noticing the sensation of the energy flowing where we've stretched. Then gradually easing yourself up to a seat. You might want to roll onto your side and press yourself up to a seat. We're going to do a shape now called deer. So with this shape, we are bringing the left foot into the right knee, and then we're aiming to feel a stretch into the glute into your right glute. So we're going to lean over the front leg. Now you can do that again with a support in front of you so that you've got something to prop you up a bit. You might even just be sitting up and you're feeling that sensation in your right glute. You may find you need to adjust where you're leaning over. So I do find it makes a big difference if I'm leaning over kind of the middle of my leg, or I'm leaning more over the top of that left knee. So basically your legs are in that figure 4 shape and leaning forward. So again, please let me know if you're having any problems feeling the stretch into your right glute. You may well notice a sensation of stretch into the lower back as well. Our back is the main area of support in our body. So we think about the spine and the fact that it literally supports all the other structures, all the other parts of the skeleton. And energetically, emotionally, when we have discomfort in the back, can indicate that we're not feeling supported in some area. Perhaps it's simply that you're not supporting yourself. You're not being true to yourself. You're not giving yourself enough nourishment and nurturance. But this practice is absolutely demonstrating to the universe that you do support yourself. Remembering, as always, to adjust your shape at any time during the hold. Taking a few more breaths here. And then before we go to the other side here, we might take a little rest, just perhaps stretching your legs out in front of you, giving them a bit of a shake, leaning your body back a bit because we've been leaning forwards. You can lie down completely if you prefer. Just being in a place of rest for a few moments before we move to the other side for our deer. And then coming up to sit, and this time, so we'll bend the left leg behind us, taking the right foot to the left thigh, and once again bending forwards over that right leg at whatever angle allows you to feel the stretch in the left glute. And look, for me, I feel it in the right as well, so in both the glutes. Remembering you may want to put a support in front of you. Wherever it is that you're feeling the stretch, breathing into that place. I did have a theme today of journeys, which I haven't really talked about. I thought that was an appropriate theme as I'm about to take a big journey myself in the physical world. But the practice of Yin Yoga really allows us to journey within. The word yin refers to the internal, the inward looking, passive, feminine side of energy. So it really allows a chance to stop, to turn inwards. We live in such a yang-focused world. We're always feeling like we have to do, take action, go outwards. Just taking a last few breaths in this shape. And then coming up into a seat. And we'll take ourselves into a final resting place for the practice. So that can be however you feel most comfortable. Personally, I love to have a support under the backs of my knees and another one under my head, and simply lie down. I really recommend you definitely have your blanket over you for this final relaxation part of the practice. So getting yourself into whatever place helps you to feel most restful. And once again, seeing if you can notice the sensations in your body. Notice your body overall. How does it feel different now than it did an hour ago? And once you've sent some attention to your body, perhaps just let it wander as far as it wants to go. Once again, noticing sounds, or perhaps simply bringing your focus back into your breath. Talking about journeys, I found some words of wisdom from the wonderful Michael Looney. And his piece is entitled How to Get There. Go to the end of the path until you get to the gate. Go through the gate and head straight out towards the horizon. Keep going towards the horizon. Sit down and have a rest every now and again. But keep on going. Just keep on with it. Keep on going as far as you can that's how you get there. If your mind starts to wander to your to-do list for today, that's okay. Simply observe that it's doing that. But once you've noticed that, you can perhaps return to your breath or to the sounds you can hear. Taking a few more breaths in this relaxation shape. And just starting to bring a bit of movement into the body to let it know that it's going to come back into the yang world any minute now. And then very, very slowly, perhaps rolling onto one side. And then very slowly moving yourself up into a seated position of any description. We'll just take a moment to close this practice. You may like to bring your hands to your heart, either into a prayer position or resting on your heart. Just taking a moment to acknowledge yourself for doing this practice this morning, to acknowledge each other as we are connected in this practice. And I'd like to say my very deep gratitude goes out to you for practicing with me this morning. Shanzai, which means thank you. Hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. And please do let me know how you found the practice. Love to hear what you liked, anything that you'd like to be different next time, and any suggestions you have to make that the case. I'm really hoping I can do some of these sessions while I'm away. I don't see why I can't. It'll just depend on the spaces that I'm in. But I'll definitely put it on social media when I'm doing them. So hopefully you can join in. And if I'm happy with how it goes, then I'll put the recordings on socials as well if you miss the live practice. But it is really nice to practice live. I know you've got your screens off and we're not interacting in the same way as we would in the same space, but it's really validating for me to have people join me live. So I really thank you for that. Have a beautiful day.